1, Chapter 2, Cumulative Review. These are the important concepts that are going to be on the chapter test. Part 1 is solving one-step equations. This one actually is a trick two-step, but we'll do two ways of doing this. So we're going to get rid of that positive 10. So we will subtract 10. That leaves us with negative v equals negative 18. And now we will divide by negative 1, which leaves us with v equals positive 18. The other way we could have done this problem is we could have added v to both sides. We would have gotten 10 equals v minus 8. And then we would have added 8 to both sides, and we'd still get 18 equals v. Both the same answer. It doesn't matter which way you do that problem. Oh, that looks very similar to the problem we just had. That leaves us with x equals 11. We're going to get rid of things being added and subtracted. So that leaves us with x equals, now that's 2 minus 24/7. And I'm going to simplify by, I have to change 2 over 1 into sevenths. So 1 times 7, so 2 is equivalent to 14/7. 14/7 minus 24/7 gives me 10/7, negative 10/7, and that is simplified. That cannot be reduced, and that is the correct answer. We have decimals. We're going to subtract 4.9. We have signs that are different. We have 4.9 and 1.2, so that gives us 7, 3.7. We have more negatives than positives. So we end up with negative 3.7. We have the problem x over 5 equals 4 over 5. We can multiply. Gets rid of that 5 in the denominator. This 5 in the numerator cancels with that 5 in the denominator, and we get x equals 4. We're going to divide by negative 7. That leaves us with k equals, 7 goes into 105, 7 goes into 10 once, 7 goes into 35 5 times, so a negative divided by a negative is a positive, so k equals 15. We are not going to divide by 5 because we have a fraction on the other side. So we're going to multiply by its reciprocal, which is 1/5. And we are not going to multiply 135 times 1 and 75 times 5. We're going to cross cancel. And 5 goes into 135. That goes twice. So that goes 27 times. So 27 over 7, and then no number, that doesn't get reduced, and that's my answer. We're going to divide by 0.3. We're not going to convert anything to a fraction or anything like that. We get negative 2.25 over 0.3 equals a. We can't have a decimal and a fraction. So I'm going to take negative 2.25 and 0.3. I'm going to move this decimal point one place. I'm going to move it a second place to get rid of both decimals. That's negative 225 over 30, because we moved it two places, over 30. And now I'm going to start simplifying this. 5 goes into both of those. So 5 goes into negative 45, and 5 goes into 36 times. And 3 goes into, 3 Yeah, 6 times 9. No, 54. Nice try. 3 goes into these. 3 goes into this 15 times, and 3 goes into that twice. So that's my fraction in simplest form. And we can check by using the calculator. 2.25 divided by 0.3 gives us 7.5. Yep. Then we'd have to remember the negative. Now we are at two-step equations. We get rid of things being added and subtracted first. That leaves me with 5k equals negative 40. We'll divide by 5. And k equals negative 8. We're going to get rid of subtraction and addition. We're going to get rid of that positive 1 by subtracting 1. Negative 2 equals n over 7. 7's being divided. Inverse is multiplying by 7. Negative 14 equals n. And if we do enough of these, because this is going to be a long video, we got a whole bunch of them, we get better at it. So we're going to add, we're going to get rid of that negative 3/5 by adding 3/5. We're adding 1 and 3/5. 1 plus 3/5. Well, 1 is 5/5, which makes 8/5. So 8/5 equals 4/5 p. We'll multiply by the reciprocal, which is 5 over 4. Multiply by the reciprocal, which is 5 over 4. 5 in the numerator cancels with 5 in the denominator. 4 in the denominator cancels with 2, or makes 2. That's 2 equals p. We should be very proficient at working with fractions. I'm finding that many students are not comfortable with fractions or decimals. Here we have a decimal and a fraction. We're going to get rid of that positive 6.3 first, which leaves me with k over 3 equals, so we have signs that are different. We have a positive 5.5 and a negative 6.3. We always take the smaller from the larger. So we're going to borrow, and that's 0.8, and we have more negatives than positives. Now we're going to get rid of that 3 in the denominator, which is multiplying by 3. And k equals negative 2.4. Yep, did that in my head. All right, now we have multi-step problems. So there's a number of things that we need to do. We need to get rid of Chewbacca. My variable is inside, and I have a variable outside. So I got to get rid of Chewbacca. I have to distribute to both. I'm distributing that negative 3 times to the x and to the negative 6. So negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 6 is positive 18. Most students make their mistakes there. They forget that negative. We have like terms on the same side. I'm going to simplify before moving my constants. That's a negative 3x and negative 7x is negative 10x plus 18 equals 98. Way too many students start moving constants and everything. Simplify the first. Simplify first. Now it's a two-step equation. We will subtract 18 from both sides. Negative 10x equals 80. Sorry. Positive 80. And now we're going to divide by negative 10. Divide by negative 10. X equals negative 8. Again, we have distribution that we have to do first. Negative 113 equals x. This stays by itself. It's unaffected. We're going to distribute the negative 7 into So the x stays there, positive 7 times 2x is positive 14x. Positive 7 times 1 is positive 7. We're going to simplify like terms. These are like terms. Let's combine them. They're on the same side. That's 15x plus 7. We'll subtract 7. Negative 120 equals 15x. We'll divide by 15, divide by 15. My answer is going to be negative. And 15 into 120. Well, let's do 120. Let's do 15. I know 5 goes into those. So 5 goes into 24, and 5 goes into that 3 times, and now I see it's 8. So negative 8 equals x. So I maybe didn't see the 15. And we can check with a calculator. 120 divided by 15 gives you 8. Yeah, but I can do it without a calculator because I just worked with things that were comfortable. I'm going to distribute this negative 4 into both of these. So what I'm doing is I have negative 4 times negative 8/3 v minus 4 times 3/2 equals negative 46. These don't cancel, so I'm left with 32 over 3v. 4 is negative 4 over 1, so negative 4 times negative 8 is positive 32. 1 times 3 is 3. And here I can cancel. So that's a 2, so I'm multiplying negative 2 times 3, which is negative 6, equals negative 46. We'll add 6 to both sides. I have 32/3 v equals negative 40. I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 3 over 32. 3 over 32. And I'm not going to multiply negative 40 times 3. I'm going to see if I can reduce. What goes into 40 and 32? 8. 8 goes into negative 40 negative 5 times. 8 goes into 32 4 times. Nothing else cancels. So I have negative 5 times 3, which is negative 15. And 1 times 4, I have the 4 in the denominator. So I'm left with negative 15/4. Decimals. So let's take this and distribute it to both pieces. Let's take this negative 0.2 and distribute it to both pieces. Negative 43.68 equals 4.8 times 3. 4.8 times 3 is 24. 12. 1 decimal place. 1 decimal place. 1 decimal place. So 14.4. Now we have 4.8 times negative 3p, which is negative 14.4p. Same numbers. So you're going to get the same output, just a negative. We have negative 0.2 times p, which is negative 0.2p. And 0.2 times 1.6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 0 is 0 plus 1. 1 times 2, 1 times 1. So we get 132. We have 2 decimal places. So we take that decimal point and move it 2 places. So that's positive, because negative times a negative is 1.32. Okay, now we're going to combine. We're going to simplify like terms, constant and a constant. We have like term, like term. So we're going to combine these 2 values. We're going to simplify these 2 values. 14.4 and 1.32. 14.4, 1.32. Align the decimal places. That's 2751. So negative 43.68 equals 15.72 is my constants. We're going to get negative 14.6p, combining the negative 14.4 and the negative 0.2 gives me negative 14. Good. And now we have a two-step equation. We're going to move the constant. So I'm going to subtract the positive 15.2, subtract 15.72. That is 0, carry, 14, carry, 9, and 5. So negative 59.4 equals negative 14.6p. Whew, that doesn't look fun. Divide by negative 14.6. Divide by negative 14.6. And so we get 59.4 over 14.6. Let's move that decimal point. That's 594 over 146. I'm going to take half, which is 297. I'm going to take half, which is 73. Okay. What numbers go into that? 73. What ends in a 3? 7? No, 7. No, that doesn't do it. 9, 7, 8. No, that's not it. Did I make a mistake? So now, because that doesn't, well, we can use a calculator. 297 divided by 73. Yeah, all right. I probably made a mistake. Let's see what did I do? What did I do? Let's do some math here. Let me get my calculator. Here's my no, that's not a good calculator. Let's get my calculator out. Sorry, kids. This is real life, though. This happens. So I'm going to start checking. I'm going to start checking my 4.8 times 3 gives me 14.4. Good. And 4.8 times negative 3p gives me negative 14.4p. Good. 0.2 times p is negative 0.2 times p. Good. Negative 0.2 times 1.6 gives me 0. There it is. It's 0. Yikes. I made a mistake there. All right, we found it. That is going to be positive 0.32. I must have carried somehow. All right, so that's going to change that, not 14.46. Yikes. No, that's correct. That is correct. 0.6p. It's this one. So we're going to take 0.32 plus 14.4 gives us 14.72 and gives us 14.72 and gives us that's going to be a 2. Oh no, those are adding. So that's 8. So this is an 8. And so this is an 8. That's an 8. That's an 8. Taking half of that is going to give us 292. Okay, well, that didn't really, okay, 292 divided by 73. Is that going to be 4? That equals 4, because 73, I knew it had to be a weird one. Okay, so we get negative is positive, so P equals a nice clean 4. All right. Well, sometimes we make mistakes, and calculators are good. But we check it when it doesn't come out. We check it. Remember, let's simplify. We're going to combine these, and we're going to combine these before we do anything. So 6 minus 7n equals, that's negative 9n minus 10. Now we're going to move variables first. Move variables first. So I'm going to move my variables. I'm going to add 9n. I'm going to add 9n. I'm going to get 6 plus 2n equals negative 10. I'm going to minus 6. And I get 2n equals negative 16. I'm going to divide by 2, n equals negative 8. I'm going to move variables first. I'm going to move the 6m over. Negative 13 equals m minus 7. We can add 7, add 7. Negative 6 equals m. And remember when I made my mistake on this one? Remember this one? I mean, it didn't take me any extra time. I mean, yes, I had to go back and check my work, but at least I was able to go back and make those corrections relatively easy. Does my paper look crazy? Nope. It looks still organized and very orderly. So that's the important thing. So make sure you're writing things. Okay, let's distribute. We're distributing first. And we're doing that. We got a little party going on outside. 47/18 plus 5/3 n equals, we're multiplying negative 3/2 times 1/3 n. Well, we're going to cancel those, and you're left with negative 1/2 n. So negative 1/2 n, and now we're going to multiply the negative 3/2 times negative 11/3. And we're going to cancel the denominators. A negative and a negative is a positive, and we get 11/2. So plus 11/2. It's not hard. If you just write it out, it's relatively easy. We're going to move the variables first. I'm going to add 1/2 n, add 1/2 n. I have to combine 5/3 plus 1/2. So we need common denominators. In 8th grade, you should be able to see that 5/3 is equal to 10/6 and 1/2 is equal to 3/6. So we get 13/6 n. So 47/18 plus 13/6 n equals 11/2. And now we're going to move, we moved the variables to the left side, we're going to move the constants to the other side. Minus 47/18 minus 47/18. So this is equivalent to how many 18ths? Well, times 9, that's 99/18. Negative 47/18. So 13/6 n equals, and if we do that out, that's going to be positive 52/18. We're going to multiply by the reciprocal. 6/13, 6/13. These cancel. 6 goes into 18 3 times, and 13 goes into 52 4 times. So we're left with 4/3. N equals 4/3. Not bad. Fractions should not be challenging. There's no crazy mathematical process that I'm doing. Let's take this. We're going to distribute this into each piece. We're going to take this, distribute it into each piece. Much like fractions aren't crazy, decimals aren't crazy. 0.4 times 1 is 0.4. 0.4 times negative 0.5 is negative 0.02. I don't know, let's try it. I was trying to think of it in my head, but it's better to just do it. We have 2 decimal places. No, it's 0.2. 0.2x plus 1, because we're going to bring down this 1. Don't forget the 1. Unaffected equals negative 3.3 times 1 is negative 3.3. Negative 3.3 times negative 3.5x. 5 times 3 is 15. 15 is 16. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 3 is 9. 5, 5, 11. 2 decimal places. So we're going to get a negative times a negative is positive. 11.55x. Okay. And I can do this, I can keep track of everything because I've done it so many times. I'm going to combine like terms on the same side before I start moving things. So that's negative 0.2x plus 1.4 equals 11.55x minus 3.3. I'm just putting the variable and the decimal. I'm going to move the variables first. I'm going to add 0.2x, add 0.2x. I get 1.4 equals 11.75x minus 3.3. I moved my variables to the right, so I'm going to move my constants to the left. That's going to give me 4.7 equals 11.75x. We got some crazy decimals. 47 is a weird number. 4.7 over 11.75 equals x. Can't have decimals and fractions. 4.7 over 11.75. I'm going to move it 2 places. 2 places. So that gives me 470 over 1175. Well, 5 goes into both of those. So 5 goes into 45 9 times. 94 divided by 5. So 470 divided by 5 is 94. I'm going to divide this by 5 now. That's 2. That's 3. That's 5? Is that right? Let's check it out. 1175 divided by 5 gives me 235. Yay. All right. Now, 235 and 94. That's such a weird number. 7, no, 8. 8 going those? I don't know. Let's see, 94 divided by 235, 0.4, yeah, 8 did. What would we say, 0.4? 0.4, or 4/10 or 2/5. 0.4 equals x. You also could have been 2/5 equals x. L2. What goes into that? That's so that is 47 goes into both of these. 47, 235, 235 divided by 47. Yeah, 5 times. So that goes in 5 times. That goes in 2/5. There's my 2/5. Either of those are okay. Absolute values. Okay, first thing is make sure you have isolated the absolute values. So it is isolated. There's nothing being added, subtracted, multiplied, or divided. Once we isolate them, we're going to write 2 statements, because technically this box, inside this can be a positive 50, would pop out of 50, the absolute value of 50. So we would say 10R can equal positive 50. And then inside here could be a negative 50 because the absolute value of negative 50 would also. So we would say 10R can equal negative 50. So we write two statements because whatever can be inside here can be positive or negative value. So now we're going to solve it. Divide by 10, we get r equals 5. Divide by 10, we get r equals negative 5. So I have to write it in solution set, and I have to write it in numerical order. Write in a solution set, and also write in numerical order. Yep. So this is not isolated. I need to divide by negative 7 because it's multiplying it. Divide by negative 7 gives me the absolute value of n over 9 equals positive 1. Now I've isolated it. I'm going to write two statements, n over 9. Notice when I write these statements, the positive and negative values of that value, of that constant, there are no absolute values in those two statements. So I'm going to multiply by 9. N equals 9 is one solution. I'm going to multiply both this side by 9. And we get n equals negative 9. I'm going to write my answers in numerical order and in a solution set. I need to isolate first. Let's divide by 9. That leaves me with the absolute value of 6 minus 6v equals, that goes 12 times. Now I've isolated. I'm going to write my two equations. 6 minus 6v equals 12, and 6 minus 6v equals negative 12. I'm going to solve. Minus 6, negative 6v equals 6. Divide by negative 6, divide by negative 6. V equals negative 1. Minus 6 minus 6. Negative 6v equals negative 18. Divide by negative 6. And v equals positive 3. I'm going to write my solutions in a solution set and in numerical order. Negative 1, comma 3 are my two answers. This is a great one. The one place that most students make a mistake, not 10. We do not add those together. We cannot do addition first. We also will not distribute. Do not distribute. Those are the two mistakes most students make. No, no, no. Do not add. Do not distribute. What you're going to do is you're going to isolate. Isolate first. So we're going to get rid of this 4. And that leaves me with 6 times the quantity, 6 times the absolute value of 8m plus 1 equals 102. And now we are still going to isolate. We're going to divide by 6. Divide by 6. And it leaves me with the absolute value of 8m plus 1 equals, and that goes in 17 times. And now I've isolated. Now I'm going to write two statements. 8m plus 1 equals 17. 8m plus 1 equals negative 17. And now minus 1. 8m equals 16. Divide by 8. Divide by 8. And m is a nice clean 2. Let's subtract 1. Subtract 1. 8m equals negative 18. divide by 8, divide by 8, and m equals negative 18 over 8, which needs to be reduced. You must simplify. Negative 9/4. Must simplify fractions. And those are my two answers. Let's write them in a solution set. Negative 9/4, comma, 2. Anybody, let's go back to here. Anybody who gives me a decimal answer, like negative 2.25, you give me a decimal answer, you're telling me that you're using a calculator and you're not able to understand this. Don't rely on the calculator to save you. All right, we've isolated it. It's already isolated, so we can write two statements. We have negative 5/4 A equals 15/8, and we have negative 5/4 A equals negative 15/8. We're going to multiply by the reciprocal, negative 4/5, negative 4/5. We're going to cancel. Negative 4 goes negative 1. That's 2, 5, and 3. We get A equals negative 3/2. That's one answer. We're going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is negative 4/5. Negative 4/5. We get A equals, negative and a negative are going to cancel. 4 and 8 is 2. 5 and 15 is 3. And we get positive 3/2. So my answer is negative 3/2, comma 3/2. Or you could have written plus minus 3/2 is the way high school students would write it. Decimals, we're going to isolate first. We're going to divide by 1.7. That gives me the absolute value of 1.6 plus x equals, and 3.57 over 1.7. Let's move it two places. 357 over 170. I'm assuming 17 goes in the 7. 7 goes, no, 7 doesn't go into it. 17, I'm going to assume. 17, 24, yeah. That's 21 times over 10. 21 over 10. So 2.1. Is that right? What? 3.57 divided by 1.7 gives me 2.1. But notice I did it with my brain and then checked with the calculator. I have isolated my absolute values. 1.6 plus x equals 2.1, and 1.6 plus x equals negative 2.1. Okay, let's minus 1.6 minus 1.6. X equals 0.5. And let's subtract 1.6, subtract 1.6. X equals negative 3.7. Let's put them in numerical order. Negative 3.7, comma, 0.5. Those are my two solutions. Inequalities. So we have a one-step inequality. We are going to subtract 13 from both sides. We get 1 is less than negative b. We're going to multiply both sides by negative 1 because I need to isolate b. b is being multiplied by negative 1. There's an invisible 1 there. So we get negative 1 is greater than b, or b is less than negative 1. We had to flip the inequality sign. Because we multiplied both sides by a negative, I have to flip the inequality sign. The other way to do this problem is to move the variable over to make it positive. Notice when we move it over, we have b plus 14 is less than now. So it went from greater than to less than. Now we're going to subtract 14, and b is less than -1. Both techniques work, both have the same answer. I'm going to simplify first. Simplify. First, I have double signs. I don't care for double signs. I'm going to rewrite it. And now I need to get rid of the -6. I'm going to add 6 to both sides. I am left with x is greater than -16. I had to borrow. 6 from 12 is 6. And, oh, am I supposed to be graphing? I forgot if I was graphing. Let's take a peek. Oh, no. This is just solving. We're not graphing yet. We'll see if we have to graph. I'm skipping through problems. All right, we're like halfway there. All right, I'm going to change to improper. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 is 15. So this equals 15/4 minus k is less than or equal to 29/8. I'm going to minus 15/4 minus 15/4. That leaves me with -k is less than or equal to, and I'm going to make this -15/4 -30/8 because I need common denominators. I have positive 29, -30, leaves me with -1/8. I'm going to multiply both sides by -1. Multiply both sides by -1. I get k is greater than or equal to positive 1/8. I multiply both sides by a negative, so I have to flip the inequality sign. Again, we're doing this multiple times. I'm going to move the constants. My signs are different, 5.6 and 0.52. I'm going to borrow. That's 8, that's 0, 5.08. So I get a positive 5.08 is less than -x. I'm going to write that in a different color. 5.08 is less than -x. I'm going to multiply by -1. I get -5.08 is greater than x. I multiply both sides by a negative. I need to flip the inequality sign, and that's my answer. I'm going to divide by -15, divide by -15. That's going to go -1. What's that? 13, 135. 15. I divided both sides by a negative, so I'm going to flip the inequality sign. -15, let's see that. 285 over 15. 15 goes into 285, goes in once. That gives me 135. 15 times 5, 25. 8. Whoops, that didn't work. It's 85. Oops, sorry, not 15. 135. So 7, 9, maybe 9, 45, 9. Oh, sorry, 19, -19. So 9 times 15 is 135. Yeah, that actually kind of made sense because 9 times 10 is 90. Yeah. So that's my answer. I flipped my inequality sign because I divided both sides by a negative, so I needed to flip my inequality sign. -19 is greater than or equal to p. Let's divide by 15. Divide by 15. I'm going to get negative. That's 9. Hello. We just did this. I don't have to flip the inequality because I divided both sides by 15. Positive. Okay, let's multiply both sides by the reciprocal. 5/6. The 5 in the numerator cancels the 5 in the denominator. 6 in the denominator cancels 36 in the numerator. We get 6. We multiply both sides by a positive, so I don't have to flip the inequality. I'm going to multiply both sides by positive 2. And that gives me negative 16.4. Wow, all these problems have the variable on the right side. That's good. Still on the right side. I'm going to simplify. I'm going to distribute that 9, and I'm going to distribute it to both of those pieces. So negative 135. Negative 135 apparently is a really popular number. 9 times 3 is 27. 9 times x is 9x. And now let's subtract 27. That's negative 162 divided by 9x. I'm going to divide by 9, divide by 9. And 9 goes into 16. Negative 9 is 1. That's 72, which is 8. And there's my answer. Two-step equation. Let's add 1 to both sides. That's negative 3 is greater than or equal to p over 6. Let's multiply both sides by 6. Negative 18 is greater than or equal to p. Again, variables always on the right side. Variables on the right side. I'm going to convert them all into improper first. So I get 8/3 is greater than or equal to 5/4 x plus 9/4. You should be able to convert mixed numbers to improper fractions super easy without a calculator. Negative 9/4. Let's move this over a little bit. And I'm going to make this into 12ths. So that's 32. 12ths is equal to 8/3. I'm going to make this into 12ths. And that's negative 27. So that gives me 5/12 is greater than or equal to 5/4 x. I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 4/5. Multiply by the reciprocal, which is 4/5. I'm going to cross cancel. 5's cancel. 4 and 12. So I get 1/3 is greater than or equal to x, not 3. That 3 is in the denominator. It better stay in the denominator. So 1/3 is greater than or equal to x. Variable still on the right side. I'm pretty sure I didn't click that button, but I'm going to subtract 5, subtract 5. I have 5 and I have 3.16. Always subtract the smaller from the larger. And I got to borrow, 4, 8, 1. And I have more negatives than positives. So negative 1.84 is less than b over 5. And we're going to multiply both sides by 5. Multiply both sides by 5. And what if we multiply that by 5? That's 20. That's 42. That's 9. 2 decimal places. 9.2. Negative 9.2 is less than b. I don't have to flip the inequality sign because I multiply both sides by positive 5. We can distribute. Here's a high school way. Let's divide by 8 first. And 4 plus x is greater than 11. And we subtract 4 from both sides. And x is greater than 7. That's the easy way. You could have distributed 8 times the quantity 4 plus x is greater than 88. We could have distributed into those, and you would have gotten 32 plus 8x is greater than 88. You would have subtracted 32, and you would have gotten 8x is greater than 56. Divide by 8, divide by 8, and x is greater than 7. Still would have gotten 7. Good? Good. Yeah, well, I mean, technically we could divide everything by 2, but we're going to distribute to both terms. You have to see how many terms are in there. Make sure you distribute it to both of them. 20 is less than negative 4p minus 2 plus 8p plus 6. 2 times negative 2p is negative 4p. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. 2 times 4p is 8p. 2 times 3 is 6. So now we're going to combine like terms. We're going to combine like terms. Simplify. Before you move everything, that's 4p, that's plus 4. We're going to minus 4, minus 4. 16 is less than 4p. Divide by 4. 4 is less than p. That's a weird p. Now, let's see the high school way. High school way, 20 less than 2 times negative 2p minus 1 plus 2. Let's just take this. Hold on a second. Let's duplicate this page. It makes it so much easier. Clone. Let's erase the ink. So we could divide this term by 2, divide this term by 2, and divide this term by 2. That gives me 10 is less than negative 2p minus 1 plus 4p plus 3. Now, it would have been a 1, right? Because these cancel 1. So I can do that because the outside is a positive 1. It's not going to change what's inside there. This cancels to 1. That doesn't change. So that's why it goes off. You have to be careful. If that was a negative, you would have to change these. You would have to distribute that negative into both of those. Not the case in this example, but you just would have to be careful of that. Now we have like terms, 2p plus 2 minus 2. 8 is less than 2p divided by 2. 4 is less than p. Much faster because we didn't have to do all the distribution, and that's why we call it the high school way. One high school way, here's a fun thing. Let's get rid of all the denominators. What's the common denominator of 3, 4, 4, and 3? 12. So we would distribute everything times 12. It's kind of tricky. If we multiply this by 12, this denominator cancels, makes 4, and we would have to multiply it by 2. So 8n. If we take 12 and we multiply it by this one, the 4 cancels with that. That becomes 3, and 3 times 3 is 9. And then we multiply the 12 times this. 4 is 3. That is 9. And the 12 times this, 3 goes 4, and 8n. That's one way of doing this. And now we move the variables first. We're going to subtract 8n, subtract 8n, and we're left with 9 is greater than 9. The variables cancel. Whenever variables cancel, we're either left with option 1 is all real numbers, or we end up with no solution. This is based upon a true number statement, produces all real numbers, and a false number statement when it's no solution. So is this a true or false statement? Number statement. Is 9 greater than 9? No, that is false. So my answer is going to be no solution. That is the answer. I want to see this stuff though. I want to see that statement. Tell me why. And we are isolating the variable. Do not leave me with 8n is greater than 8n. You haven't solved it. Don't leave me with n is greater than n. You haven't solved it. It must be a number statement. Oof, look at all these. Hi-ya. All right, let's start distributing. We're going to roll into lunch real quick. And I don't have a lunch. I don't have a lunch. My mommy. Nope. I forgot to make, not forgot, I chose not to make a lunch. I was going to get it in between, but it's okay. And I got to do business person's lunch. -2. Oh, let's cancel those. So that gives me -1/2 x. And then let's distribute this. That's going to cancel again, and we're negative times a negative, so we're left with +5. That's not too bad. Now let's move the variables first. Let's move the 1/3 over. Not the right way, but that's okay. But we're still moving the variable. 119 over 24 is less than, so I have 1/2, -1/2, and +1/3. So I'm going to make them sixths, and this is going to be 2/6, this is going to be 3/6, -1/6. So that is -1/6 x plus 5. Hiya. Okay. Now we're going to move the constants. -5, 5 and 24. So 24 times 5, 20, 120. So that's -120 24ths. Oh, that actually ended up pretty nice. So that is leaves me with -1/24 is less than -1/6 x. Let's multiply by the reciprocal, which is -6. We have a negative times a negative is a positive, numerator, denominator, and we're left with +1/4. We multiply both sides by a negative, so we have to flip that inequality. It's going to be greater than 1/4 is greater than x. Variable on the right side. Oh my goodness. All right, let's look at this left side. Let's combine like terms. Like terms on the same side. Like terms on the same side. So we're going to combine those. So that leaves me with -2.9r. And this is going to be +0.27 is greater than or equal to. Mr. Mac, you're so mean. Distribute that. We're going to distribute this. Hi. I'm going to run out of space. 2.3 times 0.4. 2.3, 0.4, 12, 8, 9, 2 decimal places. That's 0.92r. 2.3, 0.9, 27, 18, 20, 2 decimal places. That's going to be -2.07. Okay, now 2.7 times r is -2.7r, and 2.7 times 0.6, 42, 12, 16, 2 decimal places. That's going to be +1.62. Okay, no calculator, we got it, we did it. Let's combine like terms on the same side. Let's combine like terms on the same side. So the left side's going to stay, -2.9r plus 0.27 is greater than or equal to. My r's, 2.7, 0.92. Let's add a 0. I got to borrow to make 8. I got to borrow to make 7. 1.78. Negative 1.78R. It feels a little weird. That's not right. What did I do? No, that's right. Negative 7.8. Yes, that's good. And now I have negative, okay, so I have 2.07, 1.62. That's 5. Got to borrow 4. 0.45. I have more negatives, 0.45. Okay, still here, still working. Let's move the variables. Let's add 1.78R. I know 1.78R. I just kind of wanted to have them over each other. That's a 0. Got to borrow 8, 1, 2, R, 1, 1. Negative 1.12R plus 0.27 is greater than or equal to negative 0.4R. Let's subtract 0.027, 0.27. And we have negative 1.12R is greater than or equal to negative 0.72. That's not even going to be fun. Divide by negative 1.12. I maybe made a mistake. We'll see. R. I divided both sides by a negative, so I have to flip the inequality to a less than sign. I know I'm going to get a positive. 0.72, 1.12. Move it 2 places, 2 places. 72 over 112. Half of that is 36, half of that is 56, half of that is 18, half of that is 28, half of that is 99 over 14, 9/14. Yeah, you think that's the answer? 43. Oh, I didn't do the answer key. I didn't do the answer key. Where is the answer key? Let's put the answer key in there. What was it, 42, I think? 40. Is that the one? Oh, wait, what number am I? Where's my, oh, sorry. Oh, I'm on the wrong page, sorry. 43. 43, sorry, I'm looking at the answer key. 43, no, I made a mistake. Hi. Okay, let's go back. Shoot. All right, when we get back, I mean, that's kind of reasonable too, 9/14, but I wrote all my work. So we're gonna start checking. We're gonna check by simplifying our left side first. So let's check. So we have 1.1 and 3. 3 minus 1.1 gives us, I mean, I made that mistake early on. Gosh, that's not correct. That equals 1.9, Mr. Mac, 1.9. That's 1.9. So that's going to be 0. Negative 0.12. That's going to be 0.12. That's going to be 0.12. Red. Negative 0.12. 0.12. Okay, I mean, that was pretty fast. That was pretty good. Let's make this, let's erase this too. 0.12 makes 12. And 12 goes into 72 6 times. So R is less than or equal to 6. R is less than or equal to 6. Oh, yeah. Hey, that's what it provides us. If we write our work really clearly and correctly, we can actually end up finding our mistakes pretty quickly. That was pretty dang good. All right, solve each compound inequality. So compound inequalities, we have to write two statements. So n divided by 2 is less than -5, or n plus 3 is greater than -2. So some things we have to remember. And means it needs to be true, true. Or is at least one true. So if we solve this, we're going to multiply by 2, multiply by 2. That gives us with n is less than -10. And then we're going to minus 3, and that gives us n is greater than -5. And it's an or, so n is less than 10, open circle, going to the left, and n is greater than 5 over -5. You better make sure that it is on that dash mark. I'm going to be particular about it. That is your answer. You don't have to write it again. This is an and statement. So we have -13 is less than -6 plus k, and -6 plus k is less than -10. We're going to solve them. We're going to add 6, -7 is less than k, or k is greater than -7. And we're going to add 6, k is less than or equal to -4. So if we drew this, and we did each one, let's do this one in this color. Oh, let's write our numbers. We have -7, we have -4, we have 0. So if we draw this one in purple, k is greater than -7, that's open circle going here. And if we draw this in green, k is less than or equal to -4, closed circle, going to the left, and means where does it overlap? Where does this overlap? It overlaps right here. It overlaps in this area, along here and here. So this is the overlap. So how do we draw that? The answer, the solution, is going to be an open circle at 7, dragging over to -4, and having a closed circle. That's going to be the answer. This is an or statement, so we can solve each one. -9, -9, we get 9r. R, Mr. Mac, is greater than. We subtracted, so that's going to be 27. Divide by 9, and r is greater than 3. We're going to subtract 3, 2r is greater than 12. Divide by 2, and we get r is greater than 6. This is an or statement, so r is greater than 3, or r is greater than 6. Oh. So that answer, that solution, needs to be written on another graph. Where is it or? Or is at least 1. Where is there at least 1? Well, there's at least 1 in this section right here. And then there ends up being 2 past that. Okay, so where is there at least 1? Well, at least 1 is right in the green and then through to the purple. So we're going to have an open circle and going to the right. That's how you would graph that. That's the solution. I need to see this. I don't want to see overlapping and all that other stuff up there. This is an end statement. -12 is less than or equal to 6v minus 6, and 6v minus 6 is less than or equal to -54. So let's solve it. Add 6. -6 is less than or equal to 6v. Divide by 6. divided by positive 6 gives us negative 1 is less than or equal to v, which is v is greater than or equal to negative 1. And let's add 6. Add 6. 6v is less than or equal to negative 48. V is less than or equal to 8. So what does that look like? Okay, let's do the number line. Negative 8, negative 1, 0. We'll do this in blue. That's going to be a closed circle, less than. And this is going to be an open circle. Nope, closed circle, greater than. And remember, is overlap. And guess what we see? There's no overlap. So this answer is going to be no solution. No solution to this one. This is an and statement also. Negative 6 is less than negative 15 fourths x, and negative 15 fourths x is less than 5 halves. So let's solve it. Multiply by the reciprocal. Negative 4/15. Let's cancel. 3 goes into 6 twice. 3 goes into 6 5 times. A negative and a negative makes a positive. So that's 8/5. We have to flip the inequality. Ooh, that's tricky. Multiply both sides by. So I have to flip. This is an and statement. We're going to multiply by negative 4/15. Negative 4/15. These cancel. 2, 3. That's going to be x is greater than negative 2/3. Okay, those are my two statements. Let's see what that looks like on a number line. This is negative 2/3. This is 0. This is 8/5. Let's do this in blue. X is less than 8/5. Open circle going that way. And x is greater than negative 2/3. That goes this way. And the overlap is going to be in this area. So my solution is going to go, let's see what I did with the number line. Oh my goodness. Negative 2/3. No, that's not right. Negative 2/3 open circle to, and that's here, 8/5 open circle going to there. So that's what it looks like. This is an or statement. So I can solve each one. I'm going to rewrite them over here because I'm going to run out of space. And it's an or. X over 0.4 is greater than or equal to negative 1.4. So we are going to add 1.4. Add 1.4. That gives me x is less than negative 3.8. And we're going to multiply by 0.4, 0.4. That gives me x is greater than or equal to negative 0.4 over 4, which is x is greater than negative 4 over 40, which is x is greater than or equal to negative 1/10. Did I do that right? Negative 0.4 over 4, move it one place, you get 4 over 4. Yeah, that's good. And this is an or statement. So x is less than negative 3.8. Negative 3.8 is right here. That's an open statement, open circle going that way. X is greater than negative 1/10. Negative 1/10 is here, open circle going to the right. Greater than or equal to, sorry, closed circle. Boom. Okay. Absolute values, less than. So what we need to remember, absolute values less than or equal to is going to be An and statement. Greater than or equal to is going to be an or statement. We have to remember those two key pieces of information. Remember with absolute values. So I'm going to write two statements. K over 9 is less than 3 and K over 9 is greater than negative 3. So we're going to multiply by both sides by 9. Multiply both sides by 9. K is less than 27. We're going to multiply both sides by 9. Multiply both sides by 9. K is greater than negative 27. It's an and statement. So let's draw the solve. Oh, it says solve. It should say solve and graph. Sorry. So if we're going to draw this intermediate one, negative 27, 0, 27. Let's do this in blue. K is less than 27. Looks like that. Let's do this in green. K is greater than negative 27. So my overlap and my answer is going to be negative 27. It's going to be open circle segment. That's my answer. This is a greater than, so this means or negative 2 plus v is greater than or equal to 8, or negative 2 plus v is less than or equal to negative 8. Let's add 2, add 2. We get v is greater than or equal to 10. Let's add 2, let's add 2. We get v is less than or equal to negative 6. It's an or statement. So we would want to write this. Negative 6, 0, 10. V is greater than or equal to 10, close circle. V is less than or equal to negative 6. That is my answer. Oh, let's get through these before 4 minutes. I got 4 minutes. Okay. This is greater than, so we get two statements. Negative p minus 4 is greater than or equal to 6, or negative p minus 4 is less than or equal to negative 6. We're going to add 4, add 4. Negative p is greater than or equal to 10. We're going to multiply both sides by negative 1. That gives me p is less than or equal to negative 10. Or let's add 4, add 4. Negative p is less than or equal to negative 2. Multiply both sides by negative 1. That gives me p is greater than or equal to 2. Okay, what does that look like? Negative 10, 0, 2. Closed circle going to the left. Closed circle going to the right. That is my solution. Isolate first. So we have to add 9. Absolute value of 6v plus 8 is less than 62. Let's write two statements. 6v plus 8 is less than 62, and 6v plus 8 is greater than negative 62. Let's minus 8. 6v is less than 54. Divide by 6, divide by 6. V is less than 9. Hello, it took me a little bit. Minus 8, minus 8. 6v is greater than negative 70. Divide by 6. Oh, that's kind of ugly. 35 over 3. Okay. This is an and or an or. and so I'm going to draw two statements. I got negative 35 thirds, 0, and 9. Let's do this in blue. V is less than 9, open circle. Let's draw this in green, open circle. So my answer is going to look like this. Negative 35 thirds, 0, 9, open circle, open circle. Is this the last one? Two more. Oof. Okay, 2 more. Come on, baby. This is an or. 5n is greater than negative 15 halves, or 5n is less than 15 halves. Okay, so multiply by 1/5. Multiply by 1/5. 3n is greater than negative 3 halves, or multiply by 1/5. Multiply by 1/5. N is less than 3 halves. Good. So n is greater than negative 3 halves. Do this in blue. And 0, 3 halves. N is less than. We'll do this in green. Goes like this. So or is at least 1. So my answer here is all real numbers. Okay, somebody will see if they do it or not. Isolate first. Minus 3.5, minus 3.5. 2.6, absolute value 1.1x plus 3.3 is less than or equal to 2.2, no, 20, 22, excuse me, 22, what's that big old yuck here, 22.88, I think is what it is. I'm getting lazy on the last one. 26.38 minus 3.5 gives us 22.8. Let's divide by 2.6. Divide by 2.6. We get the absolute value of 1.1x plus 3.3 is less than or equal to 22.8 divided by 2.6. 8.8. Okay. Now we write two statements. It's less than, so it's going to be an and. 1.1x plus 3.3 is less than or equal to 8.8, and 1.1x plus 3.3 is greater than or equal to negative 8.8. Let's minus 3.3. We get 1.1x is less than or equal to 5.5. Divide by 1.1. We get x is less than or equal to 5. That was nice. Let's minus 3.3. 1.1x is greater than or equal to negative 12.1. Divide by 1.1. Divide by 1.1. X is greater than or equal to negative 11. This is an and statement. Let's do our intermediate. Oh, it's negative, right? Negative 11. Negative 11, 0, 5. Come on, we're almost done. We'll do this in blue. Closed. Closed, going that way. We'll do this in green. Closed. Greater than, I think. Greater than. Yep, negative 11. So my answer is going to be negative 11, 0, 5, close circle, close circle. Yes. And we're done. And we're done. And that was a long time. Let's look at the answer key real quick. so we can have it up just so you can scroll through it. Here we go. These are the answers. Hi there. How are you? Nice to see you. Answer key. Yep. Find your number. If you got it wrong, make sure Mr. Mac was correct. You okay? Good. We see all those? All right. Nice job. Good playing. Awesome.